My name is Shabnam Hashemi. I'm a registered nurse, a certified health coach, and an energy medicine practitioner. Welcome to the Holistic Campus Summit. So happy to be here with you. Today, I would like to address anyone out there who is in a caregiving role. Any healer, teacher, social worker, doctor, nurse, or anyone who's doing any sort of caregiving at any capacity for a loved one, family member. And I'd like to discuss the burnout issue that there is out there real for all of us. The title of my talk says, "Walking Your Talk, Are You Ready?" So what does that mean? What is the problem with burnout, with walking your talk? We all work in a system that doesn't foster self-care for the practitioners or healers or teachers. It is mostly about overworking and just continuously giving. And what does that create? That creates a situation where we are continuously giving until our cup is empty, and then we continue to give from that empty cup. And what does that do? First of all, it eventually would create health issues, mentally, emotionally, physically. It creates issues in our families with relationships to our families, our children, our pets, because we're constantly on the go at work. I know some of the nurses out there would know we sometimes didn't even have time for a bathroom break. And we get home, it's the same deal. We have a lot to do before we go to bed, and then we just go to bed and we start the day next day again. Some of us, if we're lucky, we can just squeeze in a few hours at the gym, or maybe a walk, or just kind of vegging in front of the TV. What I'm talking about today is not something out of the ordinary that you have never heard of or felt. I know my experience, especially recently with working with a lot of high-functioning people in the caregiving fields, that sometimes they don't even notice that they don't have any time for themselves, or that they didn't take any time for themselves, and they think that's just normal. And when you ask them about what do they do to care for themselves, and when they take a step back, it's like baffled. What is that? Why is that important? I don't have time. And like I said, why is that important? Whoever you're giving the service to will notice eventually that the cup they're being fed from is empty now. That the person who is so openly and lovingly giving to them has really nothing left to give. They start to wonder in their mind, and the advice are being given and the treatment options are being given, are they even being followed by the practitioner themselves? And that will create a cycle of people really, even if they follow your advice, they may do it for a little while and it won't be sustainable, because at some level they don't have a role model. They don't know if it's possible. That's never discussed with them. Or if it is, it's from a directive, prescriptive standpoint. So even children notice when their teachers are just stressed to the max. And how do they learn from that? And this is not a judgment. This is not any of our faults. We're in a system that was created as such, and we have to function within that system. But I invite you to think of what is possible. How important is it for you to take care of yourself? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you will not be able to take care of others for a long period of time. And even if you do, it is not as effective as you want it to be. You may have tried several different ways of addressing this, and I'm glad for those that have done it. And for those who have tried before different modalities or different therapies, why hasn't it worked? If it hasn't worked, why hasn't it worked? I invite you to think there may be an even deeper reason for that not working. Because a lot of us put ourselves last from a deep place of not really thinking we're that as important as the people we're taking care of. Or we've heard that self-care is selfish. I assure you, self-care is not selfish. Because I've gotten to a point in my life, in my professional life, that I've gotten sick a few times from trying to give from an empty cup, whether it be to family members who are ill or to my patients. So those of you this hasn't happened to, you're lucky. And those of you who are on the verge of burning out, you know what I'm talking about. So what's the solution? What can we do in our busy daily life to be able to incorporate some form of self-care? What I've come up with for myself, and I try to help others do that, is doesn't take very long. It could just take a few minutes every day, and you start with a few minutes, and once you see the results, I assure you, you will find other ways to make those few minutes stretch, or make several of them. There are 3 very simple concepts that I can tell you that would work in a very short period of time. One is to consciously check in with your body and know when it's the time to take a break, even if it's a 2-minute break. Even if it's 2 minutes, you can go into the bathroom at work, shut the door, sit with yourself, and tune in into your body. Come back into your body and ask your body what it needs. You know, we are given medications by our doctors and we take them without even thinking or questioning. This can be just like that. For instance, if somebody's a diabetic, they have to take the time to give themselves their injection. Otherwise, their health is in jeopardy. I invite you to think that this could be the same as a diabetic giving themselves an injection. You would need that to sustain yourself, and it doesn't take very long. These are just the small steps that I'm talking about. There are a lot more we can do, but these are things that we can do without even thinking that we don't have the time. Another thing is how we think, and you've probably heard this many times everywhere, how we think actually does affect our health. And learning how to be aware of our thoughts and beliefs and reactions, and being able to incrementally change those reactions, our coping mechanism will change to a positive way. I mean, many of us have been told stress is not the problem, how you react to stress is. And what do you do with that? It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of awareness and effort to recognize your reaction. Over time, you'll be able to change that reaction to a more positive type of a reaction, or less damaging to your psyche reaction. And then your brain will get used to that. Those of you familiar with neuroplasticity, our brain can rewire itself over time, just like our body's muscles can tone themselves with exercise. So really changing our reaction to stress, changing the way we think, goes a long way in affecting our stress levels. And lastly, having healthy boundaries. And what does that mean? Self-care can mean healthy boundaries. That means when you're giving and giving and giving, at some point you can stop and say, I've gone this far, I can't go any further at the moment. Take a breath. Deep breathing is amazing, and as a way to really bringing yourself back into your body and you to the moment. So you can take a deep breath, several deep breaths from your belly. Once you get to a point where you're stretched to the max as your boundary, and you keep that boundary and know when it is that you have to stop and recharge, and then continue. Of course, you can't do that if you're in the middle of a procedure. But even then, I recently read an article by a neurosurgeon that he stops and does deep breathing when he knows he can't continue in surgery, and then he regroups and he can finish. So these are some simple suggestions. I have a full program that addresses these in much deeper levels and more exercises. But I also have a free gift for you. It is a handout that you can download from Holistic Campus website on my profile. And it could be a reminder. You can place it on your refrigerator or in your car or whatever, just as a start. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope I can see a shift in paradigm in our systems and in our lives to be able to make us all give from a full cup and help the ones we care for do the same. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.